Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got to look back at UFC 320 because that was a fun card, especially at the top of the card.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, Prochazka and Roundtree. I mean, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Jiri Prochazka, I was thinking about this today. He's the best fighter in the world where I would not take any part of his game and implement it into mine. He is just so wild, so reckless. He'll square up his feet, just throw random stuff, chin up in the air, like it's just but it works for him. Like that's one of the beautiful things about mixed martial arts is there's like exactly right technical technique, and it'll work, and it's great. And there's just I'm just gonna do it my way, and I have physical abilities and skills and strengths that other people don't, and I'm going to use them to my advantage. So, and then it's not to say he's just a moron that doesn't know what he's doing, but it's just such a reckless, hard to replicate style. I can't think of any fighter as good as Jiri Prochazka where I don't look at anything he does and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna teach the guys I coach that. Yeah.
I think in the history of the UFC, we're talking RJ Clifford here on ESPN Las Vegas. In the history of the UFC, the guy who loved being the champion the most, because he's a pretty ordinary guy, but it made him special and he carried the belt around, was Tim Sylvia.
Mm.
I think Merab is like little Tim Sylvia. He loves being the champion. He loves that belt. I saw him post-fight out at a Vegas club, and he's like taking his shirt off. He's holding the belt up, going crazy. From here, how does he continue to build his resume? And I'll give him credit. That was not a human blanket fight. He actually was an action fighter. Dominant. He threw a lot of punches. How does he keep stacking wins, and who does he do it against?
So he's at the point of, so look, what Merab is doing is, so he's at a 14-fight UFC win streak, okay? That's knocking on the door of Jose Aldo, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva level accomplishment. Like he's not there yet, but he's knocking on the door. And he's doing it. It's not so much the how long, but the how. He fights one way. You know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to throw some hooks here or there, but he's mostly just going to keep shooting takedowns at you until you're done, until you just don't want to be there anymore. All the greatest fighters, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, they adapted. They changed their game plan based on opponent. They changed as their careers moved on. They became different fighters as a whole as they developed. Rob's fought exactly the same way for 14 fights, and no one could stop him. Like him and Khabib Nurmagomedov are the two best fighters ever in the history of MMA, where you know exactly what they're gonna do, but there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's crazy. So maybe Pantoja can go up for a super fight. Mario Batista has a 7-fight win streak. He has a fight coming up in a couple of weeks. If he can win, he would be the number one contender. But I don't know how many people are really clamoring for him. He does fight Umar Nurmagomedov, and he looks good against him. There can be some desire for that. But again, props to Merab. He's not saying, oh, I'm going to wait for a super fight. Oh, I want to go up and keep my division on hold. He says he wants to fight again in December and go 4-0 as a champion in 2025. Like, what a blessing this man is.
RJ, tell people about the UFC podcast that you're doing.
So I've started doing, I don't know if any of mine are actually released yet, so it might be a little breaking news here, but UFC Glory Days is a UFC podcast on all the podcast spots and YouTube. And we go back and we look at older UFC entire events and rehash it with some of the fighters that were on the event, some analysts that were there, and just kind of like relive the glory days of UFC. So very, very fun. Very, very fun show to like look at the best spots and like and how we thought things were gonna go, and in hindsight, how it looks now. It was it's been fun. It's
pretty crazy where we are now in MMA and UFC that there are glory days because you and I were around. Well, you actually fought, but you and I were around in the infant stages of this whole thing, and now there are legends and the glory days. Okay, we got to talk about a guy who might be on Glory Days podcast, say 25 years from now, because of his fight style. And this is one of those fights you're going to look back on. This Ankalaev fight against Pereira, and I'm talking about Pereira. First of all, I love the setup for the fight. I think I'm not going to call it xenophobia, but let's say nation rivalries are kind of a cool thing. I actually like that. Poor Ankalaev got in there. Dagestanis, by the way, are, you can correct me if I'm wrong, kind of like on the bottom of the social rung in Russia. But his fight style and maybe the fact that he's Russian, people are like, there was like a real buzz, like anti-Ankalaev. There's people hate his style. And then Pereira goes in there and he's like, okay, I'm not fighting to your style this time. I'm fighting to my style.
So when Alex Pereira, one of the best strikers in mixed martial arts history, the best left hook in MMA history, one of the most dangerous leg kicks in all of mixed martial arts. He's always been dogged with, well, can he wrestle? What happens when he faces a wrestler? And lucky for him, the two divisions he fought in are almost completely devoid of any good wrestlers. So he's been through creative matchmaking and also circumstance of the weight class. He really hadn't had to face any wrestlers. And Magomed Ankalaev, I would classify him as a wrestler, but he's the most well-rounded fighter in a division full of very flawed fighters. And so if he wants to strike, he can. If he wants to take down, he can. He's got good game planning, solid defense, good distance management, knows how to win in the gray area. And so in the first fight, Alex Pereira was just like, okay, don't get taken down. Don't get taken down. Do whatever it takes to not get taken down. And he didn't. Magomed Ankalaev went 0 for 12 on takedown attempts, but then he lost the striking because Pereira was so concerned about getting taken down. This time, Pereira's like, screw it. I don't care if I get taken down. Screw your wrestling, Ankalaev. I'm coming at you, and I'm going to be me. And it took him 80 seconds to knock out Ankalaev when he just decided, I'm going to be an aggressive Alex Pereira. Screw your singlet and cauliflower ear.
What was that whole thing at the end of the fight where he was like putting his hands down? I like that. I don't know what that is. It's not a Tito, dig the grave thing, but it was like, here you go.
Anytime anyone trash talks Alex Pereira, he does that after the knockout. So he's done it 2 or 3 times. He's just like, hey, see what I do?
Yeah.
And it's very Alex Pereira because he's just kind of, pretty stoic guy. I don't think I've ever seen him smile, but he still is good for recycling an old meme, like he's not afraid to give you the good stuff again.
So what's on the way for him?
People are saying John Jones super fight White House. That would be, if they want to do something giant, huge, incredible, massive, that would be it. I don't see a trilogy, although
there's no way.
Yeah,
Ankalaev is getting buried now, unfortunately for him.
Yeah. Ankalaev is going to need another 10-fight win streak before he gets a title shot, just because of
sucks, but
popularity and how it is. But you got Carlos Ulberg, who just looked absolutely fantastic in Australia. He's another fast finisher. Not another big personality, but a guy from a region of the world in Oceania where the UFC likes having champions. Great win streak. Just knocked out Dominic Reyes. I think he's a good number 1 contender. There's a lot of options for Pereira, which is why I don't want him jumping around to heavyweight and super fights. It's like, you've got some good fights at 205. Like you spent a year with this Ankalaev stuff, and that gave a chance for the division to start developing a little bit. There's plenty of work for him at light heavyweight.